Good morning, Predicted Trades family. This is morning prep for Monday, March 28th. I'm just going to dig right into the key indices and just a few key names. Not going to hit the whole list today. So, last week, good old rally up. Close the week at highs, basically. Hitting new highs overnight. With some news blips that push some names. We're right at the top of a number of squeezes, the 1 hour and 2 hour squeeze. Right around this 45.50. We do have a trend line from the lows Thursday and Friday. So let's see if we go to revisit that trend line, if we end up rejecting these squeeze tops. We might revisit the 30-minute Ichimoku right at the bottom of these trend lines before heading back. And the bottom of the squeezes are outside of the 30-minute. Should we drop down outside of the bottom and lose this 4489, we do have the daily 8, the daily 200 stacked on top of each other at 44.70, and we have POC at 44.65. Outside of that, the mean is still pretty far away, about 150 points. Don't think we're going to be doing anything like that, but we'll see. And upside target, very important. The second Keltner up is now in this zone that we've covered in the past. It's what we've rejected multiple times on this sell-off so far this year. Well, now it's within reach, and in fact, it wouldn't even be that hard of a push today to get there. We're only up about 2 points on a 90-point ATR. Closed, around 45.40. So easily within reach, not even a full ATR. So if we can push through these squeeze tops today, that is the big main upside target. In that 45.90, psychological 4600. So pretty simple. Daily squeeze is starting to fire. Or at least has opened up and released. So we'll have to see, can we keep the trend going, get through the squeeze top? Could be a slow grind until it lets loose, and then we can pop. We might just go straight there. But if we reject this squeeze top and go for some profit taking on this gap up, we could revisit 30-minute Ichimoku, trend line, squeeze bottoms, daily 8, daily 200, and POC. Not really even that far away. On NQ, been holding this trend line. It did slip it in the past, but got back above it. I believe these are just some of the lows. This trend line is from some of the lows on the sell-off. But we are now back above it and keep bouncing at it. So let's see if we can continue to the upside to get back to the daily 200 and the next Keltner up, the second one. Creating a nice zone right in between 15,000 15,100. So let's see if we can get to these squeeze tops. NQ looks like it does have a 1 hour, 2 hour, and a 4 hour. And it looks like the 4 hour bottom is down here, in between the daily 8 and the daily 50. Yep, so kind of the same thing. Let's see if we can push through these squeeze tops, which we are testing and rejecting pre-market. And then we have a thin 30-minute Ichimoku. That would be the kind of a downside target right there around that 14,700. And I have a 14,710 marked. If we lose that and go below the trend line, we've got the squeeze bottom to try to hold us up, and the first Keltner. They're at that 14,633. On the ready, squeezing on almost every time frame except 30 minutes. And looks like the hourly is getting pretty tight, or well, that might be the 2 hour actually. Yep, 2 hour. So, we'll have to see. Can the ruddy start to push higher? But these squeezes are starting to stack from the 4 hour, 2 hour, 1 hour. So, if we can start to get through one, we might go test the 4 hour. We do have the daily 8 and the mean right down at the extent of that 4 hour. But if we can hold 30-minute Ichimoku right in the middle and go back up to get through the top, and the first Keltner up, we could push up to the daily squeeze and set it a new high on this recovery rally. And then YM has the daily 200 very flat, right above. Haven't tested it in a while. And it's right in the top of this squeeze. So that's going to be a big, huge gauge for today and this week. Getting close to the 200, and it's in this daily squeeze. If we start rejecting that and this squeeze and can't get through and fire, then we're probably going to go back to the daily 8 right at the bottom of the squeeze. It's nice how all of a sudden these daily moving averages all line up real nice with these squeezes. So we have liquidity all around us. So let's see what happens. If we can hold up the daily 8, if we reject the 200, or if we can get through it and start to test trend lines from the high of the year. Apple. Oh, Apple. Very strong recovery and rally and hold of the above the 30-minute Ichimoku. Right? Well, this morning we have slipped below the 30-minute Ichimoku. We had a crazy wick above it, but we have started to reject the bottom of it pre-market. We are at a very key zone, this 171, 172, finally back above it. Last time I think we were here was back in February, the sell-off. So, big key zone that we are back to. Now that we are above it, we should hold it if tech wants to keep going. Apple is at its second Keltner up here where it closed, so now we're halfway back to the first Keltner where we're about to open. Let's see if we can hold this key zone, and at the very least psychological 170, and there is a 2 hour squeeze sliver hiding there. Want to see us stay above that. If Apple keeps rejecting getting through this 30-minute Ichimoku, mark this 172.75 and 174 going to be key. We also have that pre-market high, which basically tried to fill the gap. So let's see when we open if Apple tries to bounce at the bottom of this key zone, how it reacts with this 30-minute Ichimoku. If it can get through, we've got Friday's high right around the top of the squeeze. If we can't hold the zone or 170, we do have the daily 8 back at 168. Apple's ATR of about 4.5 points, closing at 174. Yeah, basically just gets us back to that first Keltner since we closed at the second. But keep an eye on Apple today, and that 30-minute Ichimoku could be a good gauge for tech. AMD opening in the middle of its 30-minute Ichimoku, nice flat bottom around 117, which is right at the bottom of the squeeze, which looks like 30-minute and 1 hour. If we start to lose that and fall, we're going to probably test these daily moving averages, the 50, the 200, and the daily 8. If we go past that, we have the mean right below, about to line up with our key at 114.50, which is POC. So keep an eye out on POCs as we near the end of the month. And as we have been on a very strong drive on most names, it might need to take a break. some names, POC is starting to align with the daily mean. If we can hold the squeeze bottom 117, start to push to the top, that key 122.5 is the next target. So yeah, let's see what we can get on AMD. Amazon. Been strong and above its 30-minute Ichimoku, and even when it slipped it, it bounced at this trend line that I had drawn. And on Friday it held trend line at 30-minute Ichimoku. All of our squeezes are set in now from 30-minute up to 4-hour. So, and we have the daily 200 aligning with the 4-hour squeeze top. So pretty simple. We are on a good trajectory to test that near open, get a strong pop. It'll only take about 30 points, and we might be testing the daily 200 and the 4-hour squeeze top. If we can get through that, it could be a nice strong drive up to the next Keltner. We are sitting at almost about 2 Keltner, the second Keltner, I'm sorry. So if we can hold that, get through these squeeze tops in the 200, we could have a real strong push up to the third Keltner up. We do have that stock split news and everything as a catalyst still. So past third Keltner, it could get a little volatile, and we could reject and head back if we get there. If we can't get through the 200 in this 4-hour squeeze top, we might see some profit taking going below this trend line and below this 30-minute Ichimoku. We do have the squeeze bottoms there, so we could slip these and bounce and still get back above and wedge higher, right? So something to keep, or all levels to keep an eye out for. I'm just gonna go through tech today. And I will just point out, CAT is on a very, very, very tight squeeze. And this wedge just keeps getting tighter. If CAT starts to lose that wedge and lose these squeeze bottoms, it could spell kind of the first reversion to some means for YM. But anyway, moving on to Facebook. Been nice and strong and back up to 220. So that's a long way to go to get back to like 320, where it was before the last earnings. Pretty tight squeeze today with 30-minute Ichimoku taking up a good portion of it. So I'm not too sure if Facebook's going to lend much to the upside unless it can get through this squeeze top, this 223, this 225. We can start trucking up to 230. If we start to reject, we've got the Ichimoku and that nice flat bottom around 220, 219.5. Right near these squeeze bottoms. Google had some nice plays off the 2850s a couple of times last week, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. I did not hit them. I think maybe I did midday. I can't remember. But overall, starting to look strong, starting to release this daily squeeze. And not a lot of squeeze intact today, just a teeny bit of a 1 hour. So Google could try to continue to lead to the upside. We have the next Keltner up, the second Keltner at 2860, and the next one past that, past the psychological 2900 at 2932. Want to see Google definitely hold 30-minute Ichimoku and that psychological 2800 for upside today if we do take a dip. Below that, we do have the daily means, and the 21 is right at 2700 psychological number, plus pockets at 2720. So creates a nice zone to the downside if we start to lose 30-minute Ichimoku and this daily 8 and daily 200 right around 2750. Look at that, lines up real nice on Google to the downside this week. 3 target zones right at the 50 marks. But let's see if Google can keep leading to the upside. Microsoft, the squeezes are guiding up with it. Got this 30-minute Ichimoku right at 302. So going below 302 means we're slipping 30-minute Ichimoku. We're going to squeeze bottoms to test 300, 298. But if we can keep pushing, because it is kind of looking strong so far, and push off of this first Keltner up at 304, maybe get to this squeeze top at 307, and the next Keltner up is outside of 310. So upside downside targets on Microsoft today. It is squeezing on most time frames. Netflix. You know, had some strong pops last week, but then just kind of started guiding down. But it held this 4-hour squeeze bottom. So let's see if it can push quickly through this thin 30-minute Ichimoku right around 375 to push to the squeeze tops around 380, 385, the next Keltner up at 388. If we can't get through 375 or 380, we might be heading back down. Squeeze bottom at 370. Looks like we are also bouncing at daily mean and daily 8. So if we lose those, we could be headed to squeeze bottom and this daily 15 down at 360. NVIDIA. Oh, we also had POC at 382. Oh, interesting. So POC is back up here at the top of the squeeze. That could help Netflix. POC above. I draw a line on this down wedge, or on this downtrend. If it can get through that and through this 30-minute Ichimoku top, then it could fly right to POC at 382, and that could become a cannon to get to the top of the squeeze and the next Keltner up. So not a bad setup on Netflix, actually, with that trend line that we might be getting through. NVIDIA. Such a strong day on Thursday. Man, we cleaned up on that one. Opening right in the middle of its 30-minute Ichimoku, which pretty much spans this entire squeeze, so wouldn't be surprised on NVIDIA to kind of stay in a downtrend from the highs and bounce in this range, kind of consolidate for a little bit, much like it did after this pop. Consolidate, downtrend, hold a support, pop again, consolidate, hold a support. So let's see if NVIDIA can get going through the squeeze top and over this 285. Could get up to the third Keltner at 293 and psychological 300 if NVIDIA wants to continue being strong. But starting to get up near third Keltner is a little extended. If we lose squeeze bottoms in the 30-minute Ichimoku, daily means, and previous consolidation ranges. POC is down at 264, which now overlaps with the first Keltner and the daily 8. So clear target. If we lose 30-minute Ichimoku at 72, we could fall fast, 264.62. Not a bad setup on NVIDIA to the downside. Or upside, really. Q's, very tight squeeze today. You know, this is what it looks like when you have a tight, or, you know, the squeeze is a little wider, but when you have a bunch of squeezes and you're strong and you push right through and then kind of consolidate before you get to the next. So let's see if we can push right through and carry, or if we end up staying and bouncing around the squeeze today. Roku, same kind of setup as Netflix, has guided up, then sideways. It's got a nice downtrend. It's holding the daily 8. So if it could get through 122, 125, it could soar right up to 130, last week's high. If it loses it to the downside, we've got the daily 15 and 1 Keltner down. Shop kind of popped, I think, with what was it, the Amazon split news, maybe? Oh no, it had that crazy ramp up at the end of the day. Anyway, as you can see, it's been in a downtrend since then. If it loses this squeeze bottom in 665, it could drop fast to daily 15 and 600. But if it can hold up squeeze bottom at 665, could make a move through 30-minute Ichimoku right at the 700, 710 range to get back to this squeeze top around this 740. SPX. I'm going to have a little gap up. Going to be well above its 30-minute Ichimoku. Looks like the second Keltner up is going to be around 45.65. We've got 4600 and the third Keltner at 4640. To the downside, losing 4500. This flat 30-minute Ichimoku could accelerate us to the daily 200 at 44.75. The daily 8 at 44.50. And the daily 21 is right around 4,400. Spider. We were riding a strong uptrend. Now we're riding a more gradual grind, so you can draw a trend line from the lows at least to get an idea for the potential change in trend. And we got a nice flat 30-minute Ichimoku at 450. So if we can't get through squeeze tops and start to fall, first target is that Ichimoku around 450, 451. Should we lose that, bottom of squeezes at around 448. And then obviously the moving averages below. We do have POC out around 444 still, so back at the daily 8. But with us being near the second Keltner, that's a little over a day's trip, really. So let's see if we just stay in this 30 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hour squeeze. If we can get out of that, we have, what are we at? Second Keltner here at 455. Third Keltner's up at 464. Psychological 460, sorry. On Tesla, and then we'll hit VIX and wrap this up. Tesla, very strong last week. We hit it a couple of times. And then it just wedged into close. And then we get this big pop on this potential rumor that at the next meeting they're going to potentially vote on another stock split. So this could be something that it runs on. It's definitely getting out of these squeezes. But we were already almost at the third Keltner, and now we are gapping up and above it. So this could be something where I'm going to be very, very careful. I don't want to advise that we should necessarily even touch this, but if I'm going to touch this, I'm going to be very careful because this could be something where it is right now a rumor, still has to go at their next meeting, shareholder meeting, it has to be voted on. It might even be pushed off to a later shareholder meeting, right? They might vote and say, let's gather more information and yada yada. There has been a lot of good news catalysts for Tesla lately with, I think, the Germany factory coming online and making more cars in a day than like all the other EV competitors have so far. So lots of good news catalysts for Tesla. It's why it's been on such a strong run, but now we're up past third Keltner. And this is just the beginning of the rumor. It's not going to run from now until they vote, right? At some point, there's probably going to be some profit taking. So I'm going to be very careful on this one. As extended as it is, they could have just done this just to dump it hard, right? looking at this week with beast numbers, Tesla was already a good deal above most very far out calls, and now going to be even further above. And a lot of puts were getting near beast or at beast. So now even closer puts, very key, closer puts like the 1000 are going to be much closer to beast. So just going to play price action in beast and not get biased thinking, oh, they're going to split, it's going to run today. We have time. We know how to play this game. We're at third Keltner. So play it accordingly. VIX. We're not down below 20. I'll tell you that. It looks like it gapped up, faded a little, and is starting to pop again. Not too far from the highs of Friday. Watch this 30-minute Ichimoku. If it gets through 22 and 22 and a half and Friday's high, we're going to keep punching higher to these daily moving averages on VIX, which was already down near the third Keltner, or I'm sorry, no, third Keltner was below, but already down near the second Keltner and the daily 200. So let's see if it keeps this trend, stays below 30-minute Ichimoku, goes to retest daily 220 today. That means we can see a good upside on the market. But if it pushes through 30-minute Ichimoku and doesn't come back below it and pushes higher, then we might see some profit taking, some squeezed bottoms today on the market. But overall, that's the outlook. Hope this helps everybody. Good luck today, and we'll see you in the room.